My name is Dominic Strawson. I'm 19 years old and I'm training to be a film editor. If it's the director of the film who decides how it will look, then it's the film editor who decides how it will feel. I decide how long you hold a stare and how quickly you look away. I give the story its rhythm. I give it the magic. And if I do my job right, you don't even know that I'm doing it. I make you forget you're even watching a screen. I'm right inside your head and you don't even know that I'm there. Some weeks, I barely move from my computer. You lose track of time. It's that sort of job. I can forget to eat. If this story were a movie, I'd call it 2 nights. And the first night was 6 months ago now. And at the time, it didn't feel like the beginning of anything at all.
I had this particular teacher at school who I always listened to. Miss Stanchel. She said things that were worth listening to. I remember one time, lunchtime I suppose. It was raining and cold, it must have been winter. And our form class was one of the only rooms with heaters that actually worked, so everyone was crowding in, dropping food scraps, drawing dicks on the windows and the condensation. Miss Stanchel was keeping an eye on us. She sat at her desk, wearing her bright red woolen scarf and holding a thermos flask of steaming soup. It had Winnie the Pooh in it. And Miss said, I've never forgotten this. She said that the problem with making big decisions is that at the time, you don't know they're big decisions. Like that night, I suppose. It was 6 months ago. And last night too, but one thing at a time.
One thing I want you to know about me is I'm not obsessed. I like to stay fit and I'm aware of my weight. I mean, of course, who isn't? But I'm not obsessed. I know what I need to do to stay in shape and I'm prepared to do it. I'm not afraid of a little hard work. I remember the night clearly because it was the same day I fired my personal trainer. His name was Mitch and he was hopeless. He was all very nice and cheerful and he designed interesting programs. But the problem was he never really believed in me. He didn't expect me to succeed, and so when I failed, he would already have my excuses ready, like on this particular night. So we'd set a weight target 3 months before, a healthy, achievable weight target, and I'd failed to meet it. Like, that's okay, we all fail sometimes. But Mitch has to go on with all this. Well, you have to understand that muscle is heavier than fat. Shit. Like I'm too delicate to cope with the truth. I was not in the mood. I pulled up my shirt, took a handful of fat, and I said to him, "Does this look like muscle to you? Does it?" He just smiled and looked me in the eyes like the rest of me didn't even exist. I was not happy.
I guess I'm looking pretty happy right now. Well, I am. I'm the sort of happy that I used to think I'd only get to watch in other people. Like Dominic. He's my mate. We're friends in school, actually. At the end of year 13, he convinced me to take my university savings and go halves in a van with him. He said we'd sell it for even more at the end, a kind of win-win. Well, that whole summer we drove from beach to beach with these 2 old surfboards strapped to the roof. Neither of us could surf, but he said it was important to look the part. About 3 days in, he had this idea of snapping one of the boards in half so he could tell the story about getting attacked by a shark and being dumped on a reef. It's really hard to snap a surfboard. We ended up having to drive over it and then spend an entire day just sanding out the tire marks. That was just the sort of effort that he'd go to get a girl. And on the nights that he was successful, he'd make me sleep outside in this pissy little warehouse tent that he'd stolen from his sister. I don't mind though. I like tents.
I just finished an assignment, so I called Jamie because I felt like celebrating. He's a good man for a drink. He makes me laugh and I knew him from school, so we stayed in touch. A couple of summers back, he talked me into buying a van with him. We only got half back when we sold it again, so his parents weren't too happy. His mum's a dentist. She's kinda hot.
I think if I had to describe what a true friend is, I'd say it's someone who listens to you and doesn't betray you. And to be fair to her, Anita was always a good listener. And she wasn't as pretty as me. I think a friendship works better if it's obvious who's prettier.
She was pretty angry and she wanted to come over and talk. She always wanted to talk when she was angry, which was a lot at the time. At the end, she'd always tell me what a good listener I was, and I'd sometimes think, I'm a pretty good talker too. You'd see that if you gave me the chance.
So I went round to his flat. It was a crazy storm that night. You could hardly stand up. When I got there, I knocked, but he didn't hear me.
And he just walked straight on in, didn't even knock, and then he pretends to be all weirded out when he sees me. Like he wasn't the one creeping around somebody else's house.
And he was watching porn.
It was just porn.
I didn't really know what to do.
I said, just look at me, right? That is fat, isn't it? Like, wouldn't you call that fat?
There are exactly 3 things you can do in this situation, and I've tried them all. None of them work.
Right now, all around the globe, millions of people are looking at porn, so I don't understand why he got so uptight about it. It's like cooking or driving a car. It's just a thing we've worked out how to do. I offered to show him some. I thought he'd be into it.
It's just skin. There's no fat there.
I thought you were my friend, and now you're just gonna lie to me? What sort of a friend just lies?
I don't really know what you meant to do in that situation. I just said, no, I'm fine. I hope that'd be the end of it.
Yeah, okay. You're a bit fat. It's sort of disgusting.
I thought you were my friend. What sort of a person calls their friend fat?
So he says no, like he's so superior, like he never looks at porn himself. I asked him, I said, why don't you want to look at it?
I said the same reason I always slept in a tent. It's not really a spectator sport.
I'm not answering that.
Because you think I'm fat? If I wasn't fat, you'd say. You wouldn't mind saying. Look me in the eyes and tell me I'm not fat.
I wasn't gonna let him get away with that. I turned the screen to him so he could see it. It was just straight porn. It wasn't like I was watching something weird.
It looked like they'd crossed a male stripper and a donkey and it was humping a really confused mannequin. That's just not my idea of sexy.
Seriously, what is wrong with you?
But hey, no friendship's perfect, right?
You're always gonna get those awkward moments.
Really, what I needed
Was a drink.
Remember that tank top you bought me? You wrote you're gorgeous on it. You took me to your rented motor car and filmed me on the bonnet. You got me to hitch my knees up and pulled my legs apart. You took an Instamatic camera and pulled my sleeves around my heart. Because you're gorgeous, I'd do anything for you. Because you're gorgeous, I know you'll get me through. You said my clothes were sexy. You tore away my shirt. You rubbed an ice cube on my chest, snapped me till it hurts. Because you're gorgeous, I'd do anything for you. Because you're gorgeous, I know you'll get me You said I wasn't cheap. You paid me £20. You promised to put me in a magazine on every table in every lounge. Because you're gorgeous, I'd do anything for you. Because you're gorgeous, I know you'll get me through. Because you're gorgeous, I'd do anything for you. Because you're gorgeous, I know you'll get me.
So, do you want to dance?
No. You going to offer me a chip?
All gone. So So, do you like Sudoku?
No.
What about crosswords?
No.
Well, what do you like then?
Lots of things.
Sorry?
You know, lots of things.
It's a bit hard to hear you in here with all the music.
No,
You don't even know what I was going to say.
I can guess.
Absquatulate? I was going to say we could absquatulate. It was a clue in this morning's crossword. That wasn't your guess, was it?
Okay, I'm going to say something now and I don't want you to take it the wrong way.
Hey, sit down. Can I grab you a drink or anything?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
So you're just gonna stay standing or hype in?
Suppose not.
Hey, I'm just gonna grab myself something anyway. Choose whatever you like. Oh, right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to not take that the wrong way.
There's a right way.
So, how was it?
How was what?
I've only just forgiven you, you know, for walking out on me like that. Don't make me change my mind.
There's nothing. There's nothing to say.
I left you to do it. I did that as a favor. Don't tell me you screwed it up.
I didn't screw anything up.
He just wasn't really my type.
It happens sometimes, you know. Not everybody is compatible.
I'm not really sure you're in the position to have a type.
I think you're frightened of women.
Do you know how offensive that is?
But would
would
you
you
mind
mind
if I
if I
called
called
him? I think he might be more my type.
There was pornography on his computer at his house. I saw his computer and he'd been looking at pornography.
Everybody looks at porn.
I don't.
When I say everybody, often I don't mean you.
Wouldn't you still prefer a man who didn't?
Wouldn't leave many to choose from. Did you get his number?
No, I didn't get her number. I didn't even like her. Why would I get her number?
Although it didn't really matter, because the very next day, she called me.
I don't usually make the first move, but there was something about him. It's the way a guy looks at you like you're the only person in the room, so I called him. And he sounded pleased I had. He said come around.
Sometimes Dominic says to me, do you even like women? Well, I do, just not all of them. I actually think that's the main difference between him and I. I liked Anita right away. I should have asked her to dance.
She didn't listen. And fair enough. I'm not her mother. She's right. Most guys look at porn. It's just a thing we do now, apparently, but I'm not a big fan of that rule. I think arguing most people are doing it, so it must be okay, is pretty much the definition of cowardice.
So I spent $50 on a big bunch of flowers. I didn't have any other ideas. I freaked out at the florist and the woman asked me who they were for. I said my mother and cracked a high. She was nice about it though. She pretended to believe me. I put a little crossword book in it. I don't know why, I just thought you'd be into crosswords.
I like women and women like me. I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm lucky is the thing, and the more time you spend with a woman, the more confident you become. And they prefer that. Women prefer a man who isn't afraid to take control.
Anita told me he was into old movies, so I did some research. People say Citizen Kane is the best movie ever made, so I hired the DVD. I know nobody hires DVDs, but that was the point. It was meant to be sort of retro. He seemed like the sort of guy who would be into that.
Fleur said Jamie liked crosswords. She said it like he had some sort of disease. I think words are beautiful. I would never have done anything about it, but then I just got out of a lecture and I was walking down to the station and there he was, sitting on the other side of the road at the bus stop, holding a bunch of flowers.
I don't expect a woman to have sex with me. I know guys who do, and they put pressure on and shit like that. But I'm not that guy. Luckily, women often want to sleep with me. And I'm not gonna say no, am I?
My heart sank. It's stupid. I hardly knew him, but there he was, waiting to give somebody flowers, and part of me honestly wished that they were for me. Nobody's ever given me flowers.
So it turns out I was waiting on the wrong side of the road. It's tricky that. You know, I called out to her, but there was a bus going by, and honestly, I don't think she heard me.
The thing is, Fleur must have known about the porn. Anita would have told her, but she still called me, so I knew that she was cool with it. And that's good. You know, I don't like lying to people. And why should I lie? Everybody looks at porn.
He waved out and smiled, which was nice of him, although it made me feel worse.
She put her head down and hurried off. I thought about chasing after her, running down the road with a bunch of flowers like I was in some bad movie, but instead I ended up just pretending I was waiting for a bus, paying for a trip to Karori, walking the whole way home and giving the flowers to my mum. She actually seemed pleased though, so that was really nice.
She brought a DVD around. Nothing like that. It was Citizen Kane. Obviously, I know, it's a classic. We tried to watch it, but to be honest, it didn't really do anything for me. I don't know how people can watch that shit.
He definitely wasn't into the movie, and I don't blame him. It was total shit. I felt awful. I couldn't stop apologising.
I don't really know how to meet boys. Boys I like, I mean. And even if I could, what are the chances that they'd like me? I understand why people do things they don't want to. It's scary, the thought of always being alone.
So we were there, on the couch together, and the film was terrible. So, one thing led to another. Maybe that was the point. Maybe she planned it.
I'd like to say that I had a plan B and plan C after that, but the truth was all I had was a bunch of flowers, so I ended up just staying home watching Citizen Kane again. You guys should check it out, it's sort of amazing.
I went home and tried to write my psychology assignment, but my heart was in it. So I watched a movie with my mother instead. When Harry Met Sally, it's her favourite.
He made me laugh. I like Bender Man, it's a sign of intelligence. I didn't intend to have sex with him. That wasn't my plan. But then we were on the couch and, kissing and stuff. He's a lovely kisser.
She's beautiful. She really is.
He told me I was beautiful, and it wasn't just a line. He meant it. I could tell he meant it. And that made me feel good, Who doesn't want to think they're beautiful? And his eyes, he has such beautiful eyes. So I was into it. I was really into it at first.
Sex has to be frightening, right? The first time, it's not exactly like you want to get it wrong. I mean, I don't mind failing an algebra test or being crap at high jump, but being bad at sex, that doesn't really seem like the type of thing anyone wants to be.
I'd seen the film before, but this time, I don't know. It was like it was a completely different movie. Mum always cries at the end when they finally get together, and I mock her for it. I tried to hide my tears, because that's pathetic, right? Crying at a stupid movie?
I like her smile. I can't get it out of my head. She's the type of person who smiles because she wants to, not because she feels like she has to. And the way that she ate the chip I gave her, she took her time with it, like every moment matters to her. And that's what I want to be, one of those moments.
I was right. She didn't have any hang-ups.
He asked me to undress for him. He just sat there and watched me take my clothes off.
She was good at it, like she'd done it before. I don't mind that. I'm not possessive in that way. Now I'm just turn around slowly. Not really slowly. Just let it fall to the floor. Yeah, that's beautiful. God, you are beautiful.
I felt so lonely, I suddenly felt so lonely. Like I wasn't there at all. Like it was just him and my body. I felt like crying, but I didn't. Probably I just smiled. And he kept on telling me I was beautiful.
So beautiful. I swear, I'm going to remember this moment for as long as I live. Thank you. Now real slowly.
I felt stupid for feeling that way. I mean, it's perfectly normal, right? It's what people do. And he looked so happy, like he was really pleased with me. I wanted to be pleased too, like, well, what is wrong with me that I couldn't be happy too?
So yeah, a good night. A very good night. I told her I liked the series and she seemed keen. And that's good, I like a happy ending.
The thing about Fleur is you can tell when she's upset. But she said she was fine. And then when she kept on seeing him, I guess I just thought that whatever it was had sorted itself out. And okay, to be honest, I got a little bit distracted myself. See, Jamie texted me.
Our hearts are free, so tell me what's wrong with feeling I'm a flower, you're the bee. It's much older than you and me. I'm in love, I'm alive, I belong to the stars and sky. Let's forget who we are for one night. With our hand in those, baby, it's the people and I want real love, baby. Ooh, don't leave me waiting. I got real love, baby. Wait until you taste me. I want real love, baby. There's a world inside me that we just use it, just it for a minute. Our hearts are free, so tell me what's wrong with feeling I'm a flower, you're the bee. It's much older than you and me. I'm in love, I'm alive.
It's okay to be nervous, right?
Nervous of what?
Well, I don't know. You not liking me? Sorry, I'm not really good at this.
You're doing fine.
You know what this feels like?
What?
Coming home.
What are you doing?
Just,
I don't.
I just wanted the record.
You want to film me?
Well, both of us.
I'm not really comfortable with that.
You can trust me.
It's not that I don't trust you.
Okay, fine. Forget it. It's your call.
It's just it would be weird.
I wasn't going to ask. I mean, I shouldn't have.
No, it's okay to ask.
Well, I never have before. But you seem different. You seem, I don't know, just really comfortable with who you are. It's just an amazing thing to see.
Well, what were you going to do with it?
Just keep it. Watch it, I suppose. Sorry, you've embarrassed me now.
Sorry.
Don't be, it's just awkward to talk about.
I know.
Look, you're beautiful, okay? And when you left last time, it made me feel like I made the whole thing up. Someone like you with me just makes me feel incredibly lucky. I think about you, okay? I'm not going to lie. And I just thought, well, people do it now. Okay, a lot of people do it now.
What if somebody else saw it?
You can trust me.
I know I can.
So is it... Sorry, I just thought you'd be the sort of person to be cool with it. It's okay if you're not, though.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. You're incredible.
Is it alright if I decide but change my mind? Is that okay? Is it alright if I don't wanna feel obliged in any way?
It's up to you.
No, I don't want to.
If you really want to.
Is it alright if I
Thank you.
waste my time and not lead myself to a mistake when I roll on by?
You're beautiful.
I won't ask why, I'll just accept and walk away.
Oh, her eyes make the stars look like they're not
tell her every day. Yeah, I know, when I compliment her, she won't believe me. And it's so sad to think that she don't see what I see. But every time she asks me, do I look okay? I say, when I see your face, there's not a thing that I would change. 'Cause you're amazing, just the way you are.
She has this thing she does when she laughs too hard, it makes her hiccup.
When he's trying too hard to be serious, his nose scrunches up and his glasses fall off.
The backs of her hands are really smooth. Is it weird to notice that?
He's watched Carnival, the whole series, 3 times through. I watched it 4.
She wrote me a poem. I'm turning it into a song for her birthday. Don't tell her.
When he meets his mother, he always kisses her. I love that.
We were walking on the beach and this little kid's ball blew into the water. She waded in up to her waist to get it for him. Suppose I should have done that.
He always says exactly what he's thinking, even when it's ridiculous. It's often ridiculous. I try not to laugh too much, I have to sing with hiccups.
I love her eyes.
I love his smile. I can't stop thinking about his smile.
Told her about the flowers.
He thought I would have been crossing the road earlier. He hadn't noticed the pedestrian crossing. He doesn't notice much.
She rubs the corner of her mouth with her thumb when she's embarrassed. It's really gorgeous.
When he holds me, there's this thing that happens.
We can't quite tell where her skin
And
starts.
his skin ends.
There's beautiful to look at and there's beautiful to hold, and they're two different things.
I was the one who started it. He looked pretty frightened at first.
Completely terrified.
He didn't really have any idea what he was doing.
No clue.
He said perhaps I should have watched more porn after all.
I make bad jokes when I'm nervous.
But I'm glad he hadn't.
We were like two kids who'd been left alone with a couple of crayons and a blank wall to draw on.
It wasn't exactly art.
But it was kind of beautiful.
And fun.
And then the next morning when we woke up,
And he was there, just lying beside me,
and there was still a lot of blank wall left.
with the whole day stretched ahead of us and nothing to prove.
It's impossible in a moment like that to think there's anything in the world that isn't beautiful.
I said no.
Really?
Yes, really.
And you're telling me this now?
You're right, I should have said
You
earlier.
think?
I should go.
Is it alright if I decide but change my mind? Is that okay?
You know it's not fair to look at me like that, right?
I'm not looking at you like anything.
No, you're looking at me like I've got some sort of a problem.
I don't mean to.
But maybe you're the one with the problem. Have you thought of that?
Why does this have to be about anyone having a problem?
Maybe if you didn't have so many issues with your body in the first place. You know you're gonna have to get over that one day, right? You know that you're never gonna actually be able to enjoy sex if you're this uptight about it. At some point, you're gonna have to learn to stop hating yourself and just learn to relax.
Can I just go?
This is what people do now, okay? I'm not asking you to do anything unusual. If you have a problem with this, then you have a problem with sex. And maybe you should ask yourself why that is. And maybe next time, you might let the other person know in advance how screwed up you are, before they go thinking there's actually a chance of having a healthy and normal relationship with you. How would that be? What the hell?
Is it alright if I decide but change my mind? Is that okay? Is it alright if I don't wanna feel obliged in any way? Is it alright if I waste my time and not lead myself to a mistake? When I roll on by, I won't ask why.
What the hell?
Do you never knock?
Doors open.
What's wrong with waiting till you're invited?
Good rule.
Piss off.
You really hurt her.
Are you sure you want to be doing this?
I'm sure I don't.
So leave.
Do you want to tell me what happened?
No, I don't. We don't do this.
I can't just say nothing.
Okay, you worry about your sex life, okay, and I'll worry about mine.
I don't have anything to worry about. It's sort of cool actually, it still surprises me.
I'm gonna ask you to leave my house for the 3rd time.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, you will.
I just don't want you to think that I'm okay with it.
I don't want you to think that I care.
It was abusive.
You don't know what happened.
No, but you do.
Yeah, and I'm fine with it. Okay? So get out of my house.
Man up.
I looked Jamie in the eyes and I asked him. I said, do you look at porn? And he said not really, which I guess means he'll try harder not to. We've made it so easy with our smartphones and our stupid appetites. We can pretty much watch sex anytime, any place we choose. And you know what? We are. Our brothers, our fathers, our classmates, and our boyfriends are masturbating not to images of excitement and joy, but to the brutal collisions of strangers. Body parts without faces, faces without minds. Pornography is to sex what fast food is to nutrition. A massive experiment in the deadening of our taste that nobody asked for. And I think as we're growing ever larger, we're growing smaller too. I think we're losing our sense of possibility.
Could we possibly be any more ridiculous? It's worse than fast food. I mean, at least with fast food, we're still somewhat interested in the sensation of eating, but with pornography, it's like we've bypassed the sex altogether and instead become addicted to the act of watching. I mean, grown men who can no longer be with a woman without turning their minds to the contortions of bad actors. It's like a pervert at a dinner party who has to sneak off for a quiet sniff of a burger wrapper to keep his appetite intact. It's bad enough growing up thinking pornography is entertainment, but it's worse growing up thinking it's sex.
It's just entertainment. A good way of getting off. There's fantasy and there's reality. And we can tell the difference, right? I play Grand Theft Auto, but that doesn't change how I drive a car. I mean, why would it? Of course, some people say that the way we experience sex rewires our brains. I told Fleur that she was different. And the sad thing is, I think that she was. I would have liked to get to know her, but when it came to sex and she was just right there,
My earliest memories are of people telling me how I looked. That's a pretty dress. I do like what you've done with your hair. What a lovely smile you have. Gosh, you're so tiny. It didn't make me feel beautiful, but it did make me feel that being beautiful mattered. And to be with Dominic, you know, it felt as if I'd been walking my whole life towards that point. To stand before this man who danced with me, who laughed at my jokes and had a way of telling me stories that made it seem as if nobody else had ever heard him. He looked at me, praised me. He didn't pretend he wasn't. And a part of me was happy, you know? A part of me thought, I am worthy, I'm worth being looked at. But he wasn't looking at me at all. His eyes were dead and his mind was elsewhere. He told me I was beautiful, but he couldn't look me in the eyes. He held me and told me he wanted me, but he couldn't look me in the eyes. I wanted to say, I'm right here. What more do you need? What is so wrong with me that you can't even look me in the eyes?
I don't like to admit it, but these days I have to think about porn to get excited.
What's wrong with me?
That's when I thought, what's wrong with me?
I'm right here.
If the story were a movie, I'd call it 2 Nights. The first night was 6 months ago now.
And at the time, it didn't feel like the start of anything at all.
It took a little time to get where I wanted. took a little time to get free. It took a little time to be honest. Took a little time to be me. I took a little lover, but then we parted. It took a little time to get over this. And from time to time I get heavy-hearted, thinking of how we used to kiss. Courage, it's a feeling like no other, let me tell you, yeah. Courage in harmony with something other than your ego. Courage, the sweet relief of knowing nothing comes for free. Do you really want to know about these lines on my face? Well, each and every one is testament to all the mistakes I've had to make to find courage